Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever and wherever you are. This is Coach Lee, and we're working on speech anxiety in all its forms. And we are talking with Cindy from Arizona. Say hello, Cindy.
Hello, my name is Cindy from Arizona.
And um, she does something that fascinates me. She owns a winery. Wow.
Mhm.
If that isn't, I don't think I could do that because I would probably become an alcoholic in short order. But it's a wonderful thing that you do that. So now you started stuttering when you were age 3. Can you tell us, can you give us a recap of from then to where you are today?
Yeah, this may be kind of long because I'm an old lady, but I will try.
Don't try and
So,
match age with me. You're a child compared to me, so just keep talking.
okay. So at 3 or 4, my dad had stuttered some, but it was really unrecognizable except for little things like hello, but it was not all the time, rarely. So I never realized that I stuttered. I was the middle child of 3, and I began to go to a speech therapist that was at downtown Pittsburgh. My parents would take me on the bus, and I'd have to go to this speech school, which, of course, I even hated at that age.
At what age were you then?
3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I used to go on the downtown bus. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I hated it, I mean, because why did I have to go? And I used to do stupid things. So then when I went to grade school, I went to a Catholic grade school. So they did not have a speech therapist there.
Yeah.
So my mother would pick me up and take me to the public school, which was a couple miles from the Catholic school. Well, I, of course, hated that. I was, I had to wear my Catholic school outfit. So I thought everyone stared at me and it was horrible, but I had to go. And then a couple times I had to walk there because of my parents couldn't take me. So I was petrified that someone was going to come and pick me up because I wasn't in school. I mean, all these fears, just
Yeah.
craziness. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was all bad. Then I went to high school and I didn't have it there. So I just did my own thing there. And
But
I,
you stopped stuttering in high school.
oh, I was stuttering. Yes. Always stuttering. I just
Okay.
always stuttered.
But you
So I
didn't have
stuttered.
therapy. You didn't have therapy.
Right. I didn't have therapy. And I have a very thick skin. So I just stuttered away, stuttered, whatever. It was my thing to bear. So I stuttered.
Okay. And when you stuttered, if if I had been sitting there or standing in behind a curtain,
Mhm.
what would I have heard or what would I have seen if I were watching you?
So I would stutter on specific words like I went, and once I stuttered once, well, then I'd stutter worse.
Yeah.
And then to get through thoughts or words, I would interject things like So what do and you could hardly understand what I said at times.
Yeah. So so when you were in high school then what percentage can you guesstimate what percentage of your words you might have stuttered?
I would say 40%.
Okay.
I was a very smart person. I had very high goals. So I focused on studies. I mean, I was lucky that I got that, with my genes, but I worked extremely hard all the time, harder than anyone else worked.
Okay. And so you went through high school. Did you go
Hmm.
to college?
Yeah.
And what was the experience like in college? Was it
Oh,
similar or different?
that's a good story. You will like this story. So I went to college for nursing. Back then, all women were mainly nurses or teachers.
Right.
Although I was a superstar in math, I went to school for nursing.
Huh.
So the first week of nursing school, we had a orientation day, and everyone was all together, and we had to go around the room and say our name, where we were from, and so on, and why we wanted to be a nurse. So I, of course, stuttered. I thought I didn't do bad, but I stuttered. Okay. So then, I was, whatever, life goes on. So then at the end of that day, the dean of the School of Nursing called me to come to see her. So I went to see her, and she says, you stutter. I didn't know that. I said, yes, I stutter. Sorry. And she says, you can't be a nurse and stutter. You can't be a nurse and stutter.
Oh, shit.
So guess what I did, Lee? I got the hell out of nursing school and I changed to engineering that same day. I never told my parents. I never told anyone. I thought I hated her so much. And
Well, it probably turned out to be a good thing,
yes,
though,
it turned
didn't
out
it?
to be good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Happily.
So that was what happened. So I've had these
So, okay,
things.
so you went into engineering, and
What?
what does that have to do with did you become an engineer of some kind?
Okay. So back then, I decided to go to computer science. The Pitt was just starting a new major in computer science. So I called the dean up. I went to visit the dean. I was just this kid, 18. I walked into the dean's office. The dean was nice to me. I could stutter, but he didn't care. So I changed.
Okay, so you went through engineering and computer science, and
Mm-hmm.
in microcosm, what happened between then and before you met us?
Okay, so I got great jobs. I had a lot of responsibility. I did all kinds of, fantastic things. I said, despite my stutter, look at where I've gone. Well, yeah, I mean, I stuttered away. Okay, I used to give speeches like 4 or 5 times a day. I was on the phone all the time. I supervised hundreds of people. All I did was talk. So
During
I
this
stuttered.
period, during this
What?
post, during the post-education
Mm-hmm.
period,
Mm-hmm.
um, were you stuttering everywhere all the time, or only with authorities, strangers, groups, phones, or what?
Everywhere, all the time. It
Okay,
was
everywhere,
basically,
40%,
yeah.
and can okay, and can everywhere all the time, and continue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
There are no two alike, so we need to establish that everywhere and all the time. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when did you find us?
Okay. So this is an interesting story again. Um, I spend a lot of time at the winery tasting room. So one of my customers there has a
I would
daughter.
too. I would too if I were owning.
You
You'd find me there, not here.
um, one of my customers has a daughter who was in college who stutters. So she was talking to me about her daughter. So I began to mentor her on her work stuff, work and college. So not the speech stuff. And so we were talking for 5 or 6 months about what courses she should take and what kind of jobs that she should take and that stuff. And Lee, she was really the first person who stuttered that I have been associated with. For some reason, at all my jobs, all my experiences,
There's just not that many of them. I've only known a few until I started doing what I do.
Yeah, I never started. So anyways, at the beginning of spring, maybe the end of February, I said to her, you know what? We both stutter. Maybe both of us should look online for what we could do, because I would feel better. And I think that it's good for you to get this thing fixed. And why don't we look?
Okay.
So before that, Lee, I would avoid anything on stuttering with a plague. I would not even Google it. I would not even want to think about it because it was bad. It just bad things. So I found your book.
Okay.
And I found God, because it said stuttering was a habit. It for the first time said read out loud to build your mind. All these tools to help you, and the mind training and self-hypnosis. All these things clicked in me big time. So although I've only done this for about 6 or 8 weeks, my speech is like night and day because of it, Lee. I am like doing it. Like I read hours a day. I do all these things, to the max, because they work.
And what would you say? You began by saying that you stuttered around, you guessed, approximated 40% in high school, everywhere. And it continued all this time until February of this year, when you and your employee decided that you were going to attack stuttering. You looked online, you found which book did you find, incidentally? I've written
I bought the tiny white book first.
Okay.
But 1 week later, I bought the big book.
Okay. Well, they're helpful, not just in stuttering. They're helpful in taking control of your life.
Right.
So that's one of the good things about stuttering. When you beat stuttering, and you will, when you beat it and bury it and can say, as I can, I love to speak anywhere, anytime, to anybody. When you can say that and mean it and not stutter, then the world's a different place. And it really shouldn't take for most people who come to us, it's 1 to 3 months, but it depends. I've worked with a number of people. I've given them over 100 free sessions each.
Wow.
A number of people, because I won't quit. And I've done over 10,000 sessions with people like you, and I've never charged anybody one penny. We created a charity, an IRS charity, to help people. And it does charge something, but it's like 27 cents a day program, 27 cents. I talked to a guy who wants to interview me this week. He's a stutterer, and he does programs for stutterers. He charges $4,900
Wow.
fine with him and $300 a session. Now, I'm happy for this guy. He's helping too in his way. He needs to make a living, and God bless him, so off he goes. But we have a different thing going on here. But in any event, so 6 week, you say during this period, you've been reading aloud hours a day. I love that. You have been doing your mind training treatments twice a day, once before bed, waking up. It takes you about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Plus, I do self-hypnosis once a day.
I love that.
That I found a local person in Cornville that is a specialist. So he has taught me how to do it. Good.
That's wonderful. And I would also say to you, if you want, it's good reading. A short book, 150 pages or less, is Melvin Powers' Practical Guide to Self-Hypnosis. He was a musician and a publisher, and he wasn't, but a psychiatrist referred me to his book, and he helped several thousand people, with the problem and with self hypnosis, and that has been it's. And I'm so glad you're using that. And I did it for many years, and I now do more what I would call self talk than self hypnosis. So I think self hypnosis is I should never have pulled away from it at all. But when I mastered my speech, I don't know if you ever master your speech. I mastered stuttering. I never stutter fear driven. I may stutter. I may stutter, but it's not fear driven. So that's different. And so in any event, so you do self hypnosis daily. Now, as to I call them crutches in the book. I wish I'd called them tools. But be it what it is, do you know the crutches and do you use them?
Yes. So first feared words was a big thing for me, and crutch 1 and 4 really helped me. And
Okay.
I like extreme pronunciation too.
Okay, great, great. And you know why, for example, extreme pronunciation works. We only stutter because we're not thinking anything. And when we start to speak, the habit that we've created with years of practice takes over. Habits take over. But if we think something else, the habit doesn't take over. So you say, well, that should be easy, but it's not easy. And most people can't do it without a lot of practice. But thinking extreme pronunciation seems to be something that most people can do and immediately improve their speech. Now, slowing down is also a major help. And I'll give the speech pathologist credit for what they do right. And they preach slowing down, and that is absolutely right. Unfortunately, they also tell people that stuttering is incurable and must be suffered until you die. And that is not true. And we have hundreds of cases to prove that it isn't true. I'm simply one. So, in any event, so using slowing down is step number 1. Step number 2, we have a lot of speech plans, and thinking extreme pronunciation is in a way it's a form of speech plan for you because you're actively thinking that as you speak. Now, I want you to say computer science, and I want to hear computer science. I want to hear 4 syllables.
Computer science.
Perfect. You stuttered on that several times during this conversation. But if you had said computer science, you would not have. So just using your own method, which mine too, but using your own method now, you would not have stuttered in those situations. So, but I have to say that until you stop all fear-driven, mistakes are fine. But if they're fear-driven, if you hesitate, think a word, fear it, and force it, which stutterers can do in 1 fraction of a second, in a nanosecond, they can do it all together. But unless you do hesitate, think a word, fear it, and force it. You got to do all 4 things. When you stuttered on computer science a couple of times, you hesitated, thought about the computer because you've had trouble with it before.
Yeah,
and you feared it, and then you forced it. And you can't all wrong, every step wrong. So by thinking pronunciation by itself, that you solve the problem. But I don't like just having 1 solution because demons like stuttering sometimes can maneuver left or right or over or under something. So I like to have a variety of ways of doing it. Simply holding, I'll say, one other thing that speech therapists do right is they preach elongation. Now, their students don't like it, and we don't preach it per se because you sound like a robot when you use elongation. However, Cindy, if you use it on one word or one syllable, it doesn't matter. Now, I want you to say computer science without changing the syllables on pewter science. I just want you to go computer science. Say that.
Computer science.
When I call that using the first word, in this case, syllable, as a sound launch. Cindy is sailing. Computer science. Once you, and of course, what's crutch foresight? It says insert a sound or another word. But when you go computer science, you're basically making the first syllable a sound. And you're holding it like you're singing. You know, computer science. When I stuttered, I sung actively. I had a very good voice. I sung on the stage, on the radio, live when I was 12 years old. And I won a number of amateur shows as a kid. And I never stuttered in my life when I sung. But I stuttered until I was 30 years old almost. So when you go computer science, you are in effect singing without doing melody. It's another way to look at it. So in addition to pronunciation, I'm going to ask you to think about, and you don't have to go, I'm going loud to illustrate it, computer science, but I can go computer science. I can go computer science. I can whisper it, and I can still have the same effect. I can make it as long as I want to, or as short as I want to. I can change the pitch a little bit above my normal voice range, which breaks stuttering, or below my voice range. When I'm up here, I don't stutter. Down here, I don't stutter. Why is that? Because the habit is right here in this pitch range. And so is yours. So the minute you come out of it, up half a note or down, you're free. Now, if you hold your tone to a stop, computer science, stop, there is no way you will ever stutter. But you got to stop using your old system completely. You got to stop doing that because that's feeding the habit. When you do it these ways that we're doing it, it doesn't feed the habit. And you learn what you teach yourself is stuttering is a ghost. It's like standing and I can go and I can blow it away. There's nothing there. There's nothing genetic. There's nothing organic. There's nothing chronic about it. It's just a bad habit. And you got to get rid of the habit, and you can't do it by just saying, I don't want the habit. You've got to create a new habit. When you come into problems with words like computer, you've got to use a different system. Getting over the hump.
So would you count that as a speech disfluency?
Which?
The computer science that I said.
Look, your speech.
I'm just asking.
I would never think you were a stutterer.
Oh my goodness, Lee, you should.
No, I wouldn't think so. No, I mean, you sound like anybody I meet down here on the street. No,
I do. Your book hit home in so many spots with all the time that I spent thinking words when I talked. And
that's over. The minute you start thinking a word, you can't change your thought.
Know.
You're thinking about an ice cream sundae or
I was thinking about it. I was thinking constantly. Driving myself nuts.
I bet you nuts. I spent 50 plus minutes every hour thinking about my speech. And I was, the irony was, if I sung, I mean, people would never know it. And I might even get away with saying a few words on the stage. Okay, and nobody would know. And when I came, I was, again, purely situational. So I never stuttered at home, ever.
I did.
My parents didn't know I stuttered. They argued with me. They said, you don't stutter. I said, oh,
Mhm.
yes, I do.
Mhm.
You know, and my father finally heard me in court when I tried
Mhm.
my first case, which I explained in the
Mhm.
book. And that was, I know it was very painful for him because he
Mhm.
was a fine lawyer
Mhm.
and he wanted
Mhm.
his son to
Mhm.
follow in his footsteps. And the way I performed there was no hope, none,
Mhm.
that I could ever do it because I couldn't say my name. Good morning, Your
Mhm.
Honor. My name is, that was kind of the end of my presentation.
Mhm.
Well, he said my name for me, and then I said my
Mhm.
client's. I'm gonna introduce my client's name is,
Mhm.
and this guy had been caught robbing a store with the goods outside the store. And I said the only thing worse for him than the evidence against him was the fact that I was his lawyer. He never had a prayer. What a 1-2 punch. But the moral was don't
Mhm.
rob him from a
Mhm.
store.
Mhm. Mhm.
But anyway, so all right, so keeping it simple, the KISS principle is really a wonderful thing, and um, you're doing the right things already without any further guidance from me. But I would say you have to be a very strict disciplinarian and refuse to stutter.
Mhm.
You've got to stop using your old methods.
Mhm.
Stop talking.
Mhm.
Take a 2 count, 1001, 1002, and start again. Computer science. I said computer science.
Mhm.
Also,
Mhm.
talking softer,
Mhm.
almost in a whisper, will make it
Mhm.
easier.
Mhm.
Talking in the less words, the less words
Mhm.
that you say in every increment of speech,
Mhm.
the easier it will be to talk. Now, I'm stopping for 1 full second after every increment of words. I'm stopping a lot. But don't I sound normal?
Mhm. Mhm.
You can do
Mhm.
what I'm doing right now every time you fear struggling, or I should say, you're about to struggle,
Mhm.
stutter.
Mhm.
You must stop talking. The
Mhm.
subject is
Mhm.
computer science.
Mhm.
And look, when you've done this, when you have succeeded and been smooth in the rough spots, as soon as you realize that you can always do it, and you never need to have this problem again, except by choice, and you're not going to.
Mhm. Mhm.
When you realize that, and you will,
Mhm. Mhm.
then you won't need the crutches. You won't need
Mhm.
anything. Now you can improve your speech. We all can. And crutch 11 is a great way to do it.
Mhm.
Speak slowly. Use extreme pronunciation.
Mhm.
Think about your message. And how can you say it like you mean it?
Mhm.
Can you do it,
Yes,
Cindy?
I can do it. Yes,
All right.
I'm going to do
That's what
it.
it takes. And then smile. And you are a smiler. And that helps a lot. You have a good smile and you use it a lot. And smiling takes 12 muscles.
Mhm.
And it sends a
Mhm.
message from the top of your head to the end of your big toe to every
Mhm.
single cell in your body when you
Mhm.
smile.
Mhm.
It is a medical fact
Mhm.
that an endorphin type message goes to every
It's true.
cell in your body. Isn't that wonderful?
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
it also goes to other people. and it
Mm-hmm.
helps them too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's mainly helping you. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to speak slowly. When you feel pressure, slow down. Use extreme pronunciation. Think the word how. How can Cindy say it with more conviction?
Mm-hmm.
She's an actress on the stage. Say it
Mm-hmm.
like you mean it, Cindy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Smile. That's
Mm-hmm.
crutch 11,
Mm-hmm.
speaking like a queen. And
Mm-hmm.
that is what you should be working on 24/7.
Okay.
Crutch 11.
Mm-hmm.
And you should write these words down. I like visual support.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
write down, the first word I write down is slow.
Mm-hmm.
The second word I write down is pronon. That's an abbreviation.
Mm-hmm.
Pronon. The third word is passion.
Mm-hmm.
I could also write the word how, being short for say it. How can I say it like I mean it? Whichever
Mm-hmm.
word, you need short words, you need
Mm-hmm.
words that give you the whole message.
Mm-hmm.
And how is there. So then there's smile.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh I wrote down slow and I wrote down pronon, short for pronunciation. I then wrote down passion. I wrote the word how down.
Mm-hmm.
I could have, um, I, for one of my students, we decided that the words that were most helpful to him were mean it. When
Mm-hmm.
he thought mean it, say
Mm-hmm.
it like you mean it,
Mm-hmm.
he went from a heavy stutterer, almost every word, to
Mm-hmm.
no stuttering, and he hasn't really stuttered since.
Wow.
And his name is Ibross, and you can find videos of him.
Yes,
He
I've
comes
seen
to
him.
Sam on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this guy was a terrible stutterer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he couldn't communicate at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been fluent for months now. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how long. I lose track of the time,
Mm-hmm.
But so you might find mean it.
I have that too.
Okay.
I wrote it too.
And so and
Yeah.
then smile. And then I write things down like this to remind myself. I write record down so to remind myself to record these things. Well, but that kind of writing for these words, and then put
Mm-hmm.
it on your computer
Mm-hmm.
and put it by your landline phone if you have one, and
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, and put it on your cell phone underneath the
Mm-hmm.
cover on the
Mm-hmm.
back. So
Mm-hmm.
and look at it when you talk, and
Mm-hmm.
and ask yourself, am I doing this? Am
Mm-hmm.
I really? And be an extreme example of yourself for the moment. Be over the
Mm-hmm.
top, because you want to be over the top until you know in here and in here, I don't ever have to stutter. In front, you will stutter, but it won't be
Mm-hmm.
fear driven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You won't
I
think
do
words anymore.
every day when I work. I go to tables at the tasting room and I ask them, how is your food? Is it someone's birthday? Is it someone's wedding? Is it, what is your wedding day? And I got this like set, conversational topics. And I always do very, very well because I don't say much and they talk back, you know?
Well, what we want you to do, first base is not appearing to be speech
Mm-hmm.
able, disabled,
Mm-hmm.
which I doubt that you're doing now, but I will ask you,
Mm-hmm.
defining speech disabled as clearly humiliating you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when's the last time? Can you remember the last time you did that?
So clearly humiliating me was a long time ago
Okay.
because I'm in a different place now. But
Okay.
I've stuttered like
So you're working on second base, but first base is appearing humiliating yourself with stuttering. So you're not doing that. Do you stutter a bit? Yes, but I think you're really at second base, which is how do you stop thinking words? You can't stutter,
right.
think words.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that? You think something else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you going to think? Well, we just wrote some words down
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing you can think. There are a lot of things you can think.
Mm-hmm.
You might succeed by doing any one of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's your function, or you might succeed by simply talking very soft
Mm-hmm.
as I am doing now. Good morning. How are you?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me in a voice like this. Can you do that?
Hello. Computer science is wonderful.
Wonderful. So why don't you just for fun for a day or two try
Mm-hmm.
and talk in your really soft
Mm-hmm.
voice? What do you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it would work.
The
Computer
reverse
science.
the reverse also works. You can
Mm-hmm.
talk like this too, that's oh dear Lord, I don't want to be around him all the time.
Yeah.
Who was it we were watching? Oh, I've always liked Bette Midler's as a singer. I think she's
Yeah.
wonderful. But as an actress, I can't stand her because she screams in all her parts. I can't
Mm-hmm.
stand to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another solution, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing says you got to use the same solution 24/7. You can move
Mm-hmm.
around and use different solutions and make a game out of it. Look, your goal is third base. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to love to speak like I do. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to want the mic at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You want audiences, you want strangers, you want authorities, you want groups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much fun. Be a good speaker. We go
Mm-hmm.
from stuttering to normal to the best speakers we know
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
down here. That's where we go. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't settle for anything less. Because no 99% of the people in the world never think about their speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
Mm-hmm.
person mind is going to be
Mm-hmm.
good. And when we know it is, he saw problem. What problem?
Mm-hmm.
There never was a reason for a problem, genetically,
It's my
organically.
mind.
There never was.
It
You
was just my
made a
mind.
mistake. You
Mm-hmm.
perpetuated a mistake. So what? Now you're going to perpetuate not making a mistake. You're going to perpetuate doing it beautifully because you can.
Mm-hmm.
You got to follow
So,
your
mm-hmm.
rules.
So here's something that I wanted to ask you. I've had lots of suffering because of my stutter. I mean, lots of suffering. Do you think if I would have seen a psychiatrist when I was young, that they could have helped me like Dr. Caprio helped you?
Well, it's hard to say. I would say yes, they could have, because I think, in my opinion, self hypnosis should be a required course in
Mm-hmm.
school, and
Mm-hmm.
and people should explain that our minds are receivers and transmitters, and
Mm-hmm.
they do a lot more receiving. The younger you are, they do a
Mm-hmm.
lot more receiving than transmitting because they don't have a database to really correlate, most of us,
Mm-hmm.
much to think. So we are receiving all the time. But we need to screen the news is way too negative.
Mm-hmm.
And it dwells on things and they keep saying the same negatives over and over and over. And
Mm-hmm.
it's whether you like Trump or you don't like Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I, I've heard the news. I really don't need to hear it
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do what you're doing. I want to use self-hypnosis, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
program my mind, and I want to teach myself that every day in every way I grow better and better. I want to teach myself that um, I love to speak in all its forms. I love to say my name. Um, uh, I reject I laugh at my anger in all its forms.
Mm-hmm.
Refuse, I refuse to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little game I play with myself. Don't allow yourself to become angry. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just refuse.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally refuse.
Mm-hmm.
You can react any way you want, but not
Mm-hmm.
anger.
Mm-hmm.
And then anxiety we can deal with pretty much the same way. Um, I say things to myself like, when I'm loving, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I'm loving, I am happy. And when I'm not loving, and sometimes I'm not, sometimes I'm terribly unloving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very painful after the fact. It always is.
Mm-hmm.
I regret it terribly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but it's mind control. So I think that's so important. Well, I happen to have been raised in a religion that didn't believe in medicine. So I got
Mm-hmm.
off on that foot. I went 6 years to those schools. I'm not in that
Mm-hmm.
religion anymore, but I do respect it greatly. And they got the right idea. They do a lot of mind training. They don't call it that, but that's what it is. And so, yes, I think a psychiatrist could have helped you. But I think the important thing is you're doing the right things now. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're on the right track. You're going down the middle of the road, and you're going to travel faster and farther with
Mm-hmm.
less pain and discomfort. The
Mm-hmm.
closer you stay to what you're doing, the better
Mm-hmm.
your life's going to be.
Mm-hmm. I am staying. I am going to get this. I mean, I'm going to keep reading, keep doing all this stuff. I'd love to call into the daily speech things. I have so much fun. I love the people. I like, it's the highlight of my day.
That's great.
I just love all the people, and they love me, I think.
I bet they do. And
you know.
maybe when you need to reach third base, you need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to say, you need to be able to look in the mirror and say,
Mm-hmm.
I love to speak anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
anytime,
Mm-hmm.
and mean it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get to that base.
Yeah, I am not there yet.
And so you're going to get there.
Yeah, yeah, I am going to be there, but I'm not there yet.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then um, the last one is I converted stuttering into a blessing in my life
Mm-hmm.
because I learned mind training from it. And I learned that bad habits get me in trouble. And then I
Mm-hmm.
need to get rid of them. And I need to have
Mm-hmm.
good habits.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to do because
Mm-hmm.
we naturally want things that we shouldn't sometimes. And we do things that we shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, life is a learning deal, but stuttering expedites our learning process, in my opinion, for the people who stay with it and really do it. A lot of people get stuttering 75, 80% better and they disappear. We never hear from them again. They
Mm-hmm.
won't answer an email, and it's
Mm-hmm.
too bad because they would, they should stay until they're all the way home. And then if some people have time and some people don't. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can make time to be trained as a certified stuttering therapist by
Mm-hmm.
WSSA,
Mm-hmm.
and help some other people, hey, that's good too. I mean, I do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people that we train,
Mm-hmm.
WSSA splits. They charge $100 a session. They split it
Mm-hmm.
with the coach because these people, a lot of these coaches are in their 20s. They're
Mm-hmm.
broke, and
Mm-hmm.
they can't do it for nothing. So but there's that side of it too, and but I'm glad to hear what you say, that you're enjoying it and you're
Mm-hmm.
liking people because
I would I would love to someday, when that I get to the point, is to help other people too, because I have lots of experiences to share,
oh
and
good.
um, and like I would do it free too because I don't need anything. Yeah.
So that would be so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I want we can talk when you want,
Mhm.
and do a little updates.
Mhm.
I think you should I would like it if you keep me posted, and
Okay.
don't hesitate to give me a few reminders because I deal with so many people.
Mhm.
I got you focused today. I know your name. I know
Mhm.
your story.
Mhm.
Great.
Mhm.
But in a month, I may or may not be able to put your face with your story. I
Mhm.
don't know.
I'm the old lady. It's easy. Not many old people like me here.
Well, it's interesting. The youngest one I've ever worked with is age 4, and the
Mhm.
oldest is 88.
Wow. Okay.
The
Mhm.
88-year-old was an orthopedic surgeon,
Wow. Mhm.
retired, and he
Mhm.
stuttered. He was a repeater, and
Mhm.
he just repeated words like there's no tomorrow. How he got through his surgical career,
Mhm.
I can just pat, 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 pat,
Mhm.
pat.
Mhm.
I have no idea,
Mhm.
but he did. And so
Well,
he didn't do it
just
long.
in 6 or 8 weeks that I've been doing this, I'm like 100% better than I was. 100% better. I am telling you, your thing works. And why didn't I find it a while ago? I don't know, but I found it now, so I'm doing it.
And it's wonderful, and it makes it worthwhile for those of us who are pushing it, and trying
Mhm.
to help people because
Mhm.
that's why we do it. And
Mhm.
seeing your progress, I told you, I wouldn't, if I'd never met you till now, I wouldn't think you were a stutterer ever. So
Oh my goodness, you have no idea.
smoked it by
No
me.
idea, Lee. I'm as bad as your court case was. I could tell you dozens, hundreds of stories, probably hundreds. You don't want to hear them, but I could tell you.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, but now I'm not. So hey.
All right. So I'll look forward to seeing you at Sam. I saw you there
Yeah,
recently.
I'll be there.
That's great. Um,
Hmm.
I enjoy Sam.
I love it. I think
I
it's
meet a lot of
it's.
nice people, and we had all manner of medical doctors and PhDs. We got a sled load of them.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So this is not something that happens to people who aren't bright. That's not it at
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
We got some IQs that are off the chart. One of my students just
Hmm.
graduated from MIT in
Wow.
neuroscience,
Jeez.
and he's in medical school at Stanford.
Wow. The best. Hmm. Hmm.
And he loves our program. He's like you.
I love
I'm going to write a paper on this and blah blah blah.
it. Uh-huh.
So it's
Well,
great.
the thing that you write about us being a perfectionist and caring so much about how people think of us, my goodness, hit home. That's exactly. I would spin on those thoughts constantly.
Yeah. And now what
Now I
you're
don't.
doing is you're converting
Hmm.
that fact into a positive
Hmm.
in your life. You just turn it
Hmm.
around. You're going to use the bat to get hits instead of,
Yeah.
beating some helpless old person.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're going to
Hmm.
stop doing that
Yeah.
and help.
Yes.
Become part of the
Hmm.
solution instead of the problem.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
All right, so I'll see you at Sam.
Okay.
I'll look for your
Yeah.
stop stuttering
Look at my
story.
stuff, sorry.
When I get it, I'll make some comments on it, and
Okay.
and 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 we can
And I
we
think
can
that we did
schedule you
have
for a Sam talk in a few months. I mean,
yeah,
they got them booked for like 2 months, but
good.
you
And
know,
I think that we did have two more scheduled. So did you
good.
want to cancel
You want to
those?
do that? You want to do them?
We'll just do
Fine with
them.
me.
We'll
It's
just
fine.
do them. We can
Okay,
do some
fine. No
reading.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
I
We
got you
will do
down.
them.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right. So you have a great day
Okay. Thank you so much.
and keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you. I will, of course. Thank
Take
you. Bye
care.
bye, Lee. Bye.